Okay, be forewarned that we will probably be interrupted by some kind of after-school announcement, as is usually the regular occurrence when I make these after school. Hopefully we'll be done in 5 minutes or less, so let's get going with the Berlin Wall. Before the wall was put up, about 2.7 million people escaped from East Berlin to West Berlin. Now recall that the city of Berlin itself is located in East Germany, which is controlled by the Soviet Union, and that Berlin is divided between East and West. So the West side is controlled by the by the United States, Great Britain, and France gets their little sliver. And the east side of Berlin is controlled by the Soviet Union. They decide that it's time to close the border because they're tired of people escaping into the West. That makes them look bad. So what East Germany does is they close the border of East and West Berlin. And in August of 1961, they begin building the actual wall to literally divide East and West Berlin. And they support the wall with guard dogs, machine gun nests, floodlights, and observation towers. And on the next slide, I have a diagram here of what the wall was supposed to look like. As you can see, you have the actual border, some barbed wire, the fence, some anti-tank obstacles like you would see on D-Day, an anti-car trench, the control tower, a corridor for dogs, a low-tension electrical fence, and another wall. So it was quite well fortified, and it was very difficult to escape East Berlin to West Berlin after the wall was up. And here are some photos. On the top left, I believe that is the wall as taken in 1984. So it's a very clear depiction of the split societies. And the bottom left is also taken, I'm not sure the exact year, but it is when the wall was still put up. And the right-hand side, on the top and the bottom, is a kind of a then and now shot. In the background, you can see one of the famous landmarks in Berlin in the background. And on the top portion, you can see there's the wall. And then in present day, the wall is gone, and now it is a divided road. So what happened after the wall was put up is East Germany created what was known as the Stasi. And that was the East German equivalent of the secret police. And the Russians had their equivalent as the KGB. And what happened is that East Germany pretty much became a surveillance society, specifically Eastern Berlin, because it was so closely associated with the West. And they monitored every little thing. And you might be wondering, well, why? Well, they wanted...
Mr.
There it is.
Alan Burns.
There it is.
To the front office.
There it
You
is.
can call the front office. I just have one of your students up here. Thank you. Bye.
That only took 3 minutes. Well, we got one. Why was everything monitored? Well, quite frankly, they were scared of anything Western making its way into East Berlin. They were terrified. Much like how in the West, in the United States, they were terrified of anything moderately communist showing up. It's the same thing. So what would happen if anything vaguely Western or anti-communist showed up, or they had evidence, or they suspected? It could lead to arrest, detention, torture, and even death in some cases. And the photograph to the right might seem a little random, but it is an actual photograph. It's some like Born Identity stuff of spies taking photographs of other spies. So spies would be spying on spies, and this is an example. This was a link that I was going to share in class. I think we'll go over it tomorrow. But it's a whole gallery that was released by the German government that details all the different photos that the secret police, they would go and they would invade people's houses when they were at work and photograph their apartments and try to find anything that looked remotely Western. So if you had like a coffee pot that was made by a Western company, they would be suspicious of you that you might actually be a capitalist and not a communist, and they would watch you even more closely. And it was estimated that there was about one secret police agent assigned per family. So everyone was being monitored. And then a small side note, this is in 1962, people are starting to get word that something might be going on in Vietnam. So what the U.S. does is we send some advisors over there to just kind of settle things out. It's not going to be a big deal. It's not going to become a problem. You know, it's certainly not going to turn into like a Korean War thing. It's just some diplomatic stuff, but it'll all be taken care of soon. We don't have to worry about Vietnam. Tomorrow, we're going to start with the Cuban Missile Crisis, but that's all for now. We went over 5 minutes, but oh well. We'll live. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.